I started to realize that the food that I'm eating is doing its work. That much one myth that drives me crazy is the fear around soy food that has been created. They don't grow because they breathe air and drink water. They grow because they're getting the nutrients they need to grow from their mother in the womb. I would definitely so advise anybody who's struggling with fatigue or hypothyroidism to get the full thyroid panel, regardless of what the doctor tells you. Nutrition food can reverse chronic fatigue as you're healing your digestive system and your body's learning to utilize nutrients for energy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to In the Making, where we uncover the powerful stories of transformation. The rate of autoimmune disease are skyrocketing, and yet they are still misunderstood. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce Cordula Marshall, a woman whose personal battle with PCOS and Hashimoto's disease led her to reclaim her health and energy. Cordula's journey from battling chronic fatigue and infertility to empowering other women with autoimmune disease is truly inspiring. In this episode, she's going to share how she transformed her struggles into a mission to help others reclaim their health and purpose. Let's dive deep into her story and discover how food, mindset, and perseverance can change the game for anyone facing health challenges. Cordula, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being here, and what a lovely introduction.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Autoimmune diseases like PCOS and Hashimoto's can be invisible battles. What are some of the biggest physical and emotional tolls you faced before getting diagnosed? And how did you overcome that sense of being unheard?
Yeah, such a good question. So I will say definitely the biggest challenge physically was having to deal with the never ending fatigue, the feeling of fatigue and brain fog. It truly was the main thing that got me into nutrition school because it is debilitating as it prevents you from the experience of feeling in control of any part of your life. That is the biggest challenge that I see in women as well, because your day to day rotates around how to make it through the day without napping. Your focus escapes you. You can't be present with your family or friends or even at work. That was the biggest physical challenge. I will say emotionally, the notion of the fear around what will happen next to my body, not being in control. I could literally feel my body falling apart on me, and I couldn't feel the right practitioner who could help me decipher all of it to allow my body to restore.
Wow, I suffer from hypothyroidism since many years. And I know at some level Hashimoto's is related to that, where women face a little more different symptoms than what I have faced, which is I've not faced fatigue in this way, but I could not even conceive for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I go to the endocrinologist every year, sometimes twice a year. They never mentioned to me about it. It's very important that we are bringing such an important conversation. So many women go years without understanding what's going into their own bodies, and it's amazing how much power there is in just getting a diagnosis.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel you and I hear you, and I hear women who come to me and they're thankful for finally having a diagnosis in their lives because now they can finally take some action.
Many women believe it's normal to be feeling exhausted, especially if they are moms, they're working long hours, they are nurses, doctors. But you challenge that belief. Why aren't more women like you talking about the autoimmune diseases, and how can we change that?
I definitely see the notion of feeling exhausted as a statement of busyness. Being busy gives a lot of women a sense of being productive and worthy. So when women are exhausted, it often implicates that their lives are full. But I challenge that because there's a difference between full schedules and a fulfilling life. I believe that many women are not talking about the autoimmune because it is literally terrifying, and they're feeling lost in the sea of symptoms and specialist appointments, and then they're getting the care, quote unquote care, that they need from their practitioners, and they are supposed to be feeling better but they don't. And so they think they're doing things wrong. They think that it's on them. And so they start to quiet down and they start to not share about it anymore and they go inwards because they're feeling unheard. And like you said, it's invisible. And so women are stepping away from others.
So true. Your story is such a big reminder that no one else can define your normal. You have to be the loudest advocate for your own health.
Yes.
You found your breakthrough, Cordula, through nutrition school. How
Yes.
did shifting your relationship with food change your health? And what's one nutrition myth that drives you crazy?
There's many, but I can definitely talk about one. So the thing is that I never ate bad. I thought I had a pretty good diet, not eating processed foods much, not eating out often, and cooking at home. What was surprising to me and not to learn in nutrition school was I started to understand how our bodies are utilizing nutrition, how food and nutrition is being processed in the body, and how many body symptoms can be actually dysregulated and need to be in balance in order for the nutrients to be absorbed and allowing your body to restore with the nutrients. So there was a lot of digestive issues that I had, bloating, constipation, nobody ever taught me about. And so once I started regulating these systems in my body, I started to realize that the food that I'm eating is doing its work much more so than before. We always stuck to the same amounts of food. And I very much learned in nutrition school that the variety of foods have a different set of nutrients that can actually bring upon healing and transformation in the body. So branching out in my food choices was huge. And I will say that the one myth that drives me crazy is the fear around soy foods that has been
Mm.
created. So soy causing a lot of estrogen dominance and can lead to breast cancer, all of these things. It has been debunked so many times in research, in studies, and yet it sticks around. And when I talk to women about their hormonal imbalances, they can increase their soy. They go into defense mode and said, no, I'm not eating that.
Wow, that's a great insight. This is very helpful for me to start moving the needle in the right way for my own nutrition. And I love how you have taken control of your health and turned something as simple as food into a tool for transformation because food truly is medicine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
Cordula, there's so much skepticism and holistic health practices, especially in traditional medicine. How do you respond to critics who don't believe that food and nutrition help with conditions like Hashimoto's?
It's really hurting my heart when I hear that because I've been on the receiving end of this statement so many times.
Mm,
It's just not out there that food can actually help you reverse symptoms. But it's completely and utterly devastating to hear that statement because it takes away your power,
it
right?
does.
So women are being taken away their power of making daily choices around food. So fact is that nutrition absolutely matters. It is a no-brainer because I always tell my clients, how do babies grow? They don't grow because they breathe air and drink water. They grow because they're getting the nutrients they need to grow from their mother in the womb and then from what they're being fed. And similarly, it's interesting because we know that every cell in our bodies they're constantly changing. We don't have the same set of cells. Take your skin, for example, right? It rejuvenates every day. So this means that we have great power in making nutrition choices. We can leverage that knowledge, knowing that we are changing cells. We can definitely change our thyroid cells. We can definitely change our liver cells to help us with blood sugar dysregulation with food and nutrition. It's just so clear to me, right? No medicine can do that for you.
I agree. More people are waking up to the fact that traditional medicine and holistic health don't have to be mutually exclusive. Beautiful
Exactly.
that both can work hand in hand.
Yes. That is a very important thing that I also want to underline. Holistic health means it's not a woo woo approach like a
Mm,
lot of practitioners amplify it to be. A holistic approach comes from looking at the body as a whole body approach, right? And I will say the same goes for the medical system. So there's times when we definitely need medicine. There's times that we definitely need support from other practitioners, right? But we come together as a whole system supporting our clients and patients.
So true. Fatigue is often dismissed, especially in women. How do we navigate the medical system to finally get a diagnosis of PCOS and Hashimoto's? And what advice do you have for women who feel like their symptoms are often overlooked by family, by practitioners, or by people around them?
Yeah. So, how did I navigate the medical system? Well, I will say my PCOS diagnosis came first, although I truly believe that for me personally, it was all linked to my Hashimoto's because of my health history. But the PCOS diagnosis these days is relatively, quote unquote, easy to get because it's a very specific set of symptoms. However, I will say that a lot of women are overlooking these symptoms and only start to dig deeper when they're struggling with infertility. And the Hashimoto's diagnosis came after the PCOS. And I was actually really lucky because I had a practitioner who took my results that were in the normal upper range of my TSH levels. He took it seriously enough to dig deeper, which a lot of practitioners don't do.
Great.
So if it's still within the normal range, they are not doing any more testing. I would definitely advise anybody who's struggling with fatigue or in hyperthyroidism to get the full thyroid panel, regardless of what the doctor tells you, which actually leads into my next advice, if I may say so,
Yes, please.
is to learn to be completely resilient. So
Mm,
don't let anyone tell you that it's normal to feel that way and you don't have to live with it if you choose not to. Like you said so nicely before, you have to become your own health advocate in your journey to health. And it doesn't matter if you step on anybody's toes because information is power, and the more information you have around your health, the better you are off to take action.
I agree. And so many women are gaslit by the healthcare system,
Yeah.
told their exhaustion is just stress or being part of the
Yes.
woman. Your story shows us that the power of trusting ourselves when no one else will is powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful to you. I had one important question to discuss with you. You said you had PCOS diagnosed first, and then you got to know because of that diagnosis with the TSH about your
Yes.
Hashimoto's. So, can you tell somebody who's listening to you right now the differentiation between both if they don't know it yet? Just some of the very top symptoms of PCOS, and let's break down some of the top symptoms of Hashimoto's and see if they can understand where they belong right now in their life, and maybe they can reach out to you at a later stage.
Yes, absolutely. So, PCOS is a hormonal inflammatory issue. Some of the symptoms you might be having is stubborn weight gain, which also you will find with Hashimoto's. You will find irregularities with your period, painful periods, lots of acne. So there's a lot of hormonal issues happening. And then the trademark is when you do get a ultrasound done of your ovaries, you have a lot of cysts on your ovaries. So polycystic ovarian syndrome. So it almost looks like a string of pearls on your ovaries. That is a telltale sign of PCOS. But before you get to that ultrasound, any hormonal imbalances, like I just described, are a hint that you should look into it a little bit deeper. As for Hashimoto's, so a big one is hair loss, losing their hair, eyebrows. My girls, they make fun of me. They're 13 and 15. I have to put my eyebrows on because I almost lost all of my eyebrows. Fatigue, like I said, it's one of the biggest symptoms. Weight gain, even though you're eating very little, your weight starts creeping up. And then besides that, lots of bloating, digestive issues, because the thyroid is your main metabolizer. You feel cold oftentimes all the time. You never feel warm. So those are some symptoms to look into.
Wow, that was really well distinguished between both of these autoimmune disease. This was really helpful for many viewers who are watching. You work with women who feel defeated, overwhelmed, just like what you personally did. What's the first thing, Cordula, you tell women who are newly diagnosed with autoimmune diseases and are scared about their future?
Yeah. So first of all, I really feel for them. I just remember the fear that I experienced so vividly to this day, and it's so all encompassing. And so I tell them that I have overcome the fatigue, and so can they. There's absolutely no reason why they should not, because our bodies are so smart and they're always repairing and restoring in order to keep you healthy. And I just empower them with action steps and tools can be so helpful for these women to just get started and to not lose hope. I think that is really, really important.
Yes, I love that because your journey isn't over, right? It's just the beginning. And the best thing is that you can be diagnosed. There's always a way to control things in life.
Yes.
When many women feel isolated in their health struggles, how can community play a role in reclaiming their health?
Yeah, so that is another thing that I learned on my own journey is that becoming part of a community is huge. Their isolation is it's a big contributor to continuing chronic inflammation because our nervous system is so hugely involved in autoimmune inflammation. So we need a positive community of women who are at different stages of their journey because then we can both receive hope, right, and inspiration from others who are already a little bit ahead, but we can also give hope and motivation to others who are just starting out. So it takes away the isolation, which can be a huge stressor, like I said, and burden on us.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you just said about the community. There's one more thing I wanted to know. What are some of the steps that somebody needs to take as soon as they find out they have Hashimoto's or PCOS? What kind of nutrition are we talking about that needs to change right away?
Yeah, that is a very difficult question because it looks a little bit different for everybody. It depends on where they're at in their journey. So, number one, what is really important is we have to figure out where the inflammation is coming from in the body because an autoimmune disease is an immune-driven disease. I shouldn't say disease. I don't like that very much. I said imbalance
Yes,
because you can't put it into remission. I will say you can reverse it. So you'll always have the autoimmune in you, but you can definitely manage and reverse symptoms. But you have to find out where the inflammation lies. And all of the times you are reacting to a lot of foods because your digestive system is out of balance. So, number one, removing these foods that you might be reacting to is a first step in therapeutic alignment of your digestive system and then bringing in the nutrients that help you to restore your digestion so that later on you can bring all of the nutrients back, right? So you don't want to stay on an elimination diet. In the beginning, if women know that they are reacting to certain foods, then it's a good first step to take them out of the diet temporarily and to bring in nutrient rich therapeutic foods to help heal.
that's great. And do you think meat plays a huge role in either increasing or reducing the factors of once you're diagnosed with any of the autoimmune imbalances?
I would say I haven't come across a client yet who didn't have blood sugar imbalances. So, blood sugar is a huge driver of inflammation, and increasing your protein intake is going to be one of the key factors that you need to do in order to stabilize the blood sugar reaction in your body and to alleviate the blood sugar spikes and crashes that can be very inflammatory, right? And that also adds to your fatigue. So if you're eating too much carbohydrates at one point that are not buffered, your energy goes up and then it crashes an hour
Right.
later. So having enough protein throughout the day is definitely very important.
Yeah, that's really good to know, especially because if viewers are listening right now, we know what kind of foods to start with.
Yeah.
Because your story is the proof that we need to change the narrative about and around autoimmune disorders and not disease and start talking about them more openly. I changed my vocabulary now, Cordula. This was so fantastic. I think in this short time, I have learned so much about your journey, your struggles, how somebody can navigate from what they're like going through at this moment, and what can be done in terms of diagnosis, prevention. So you were absolutely on par with giving us all this wisdom and knowledge. Before we wrap up this episode, Cordula, I have a really fun segment that I would like to do with you if you're ready. That's called the rapid fire.
Sure, I'm ready.
All right. The first question: can food truly reverse chronic fatigue and autoimmune conditions?
Okay, very good question. So, yes to chronic fatigue, 100%. Wholehearted yes. I see it in my practice day in and day out. Nutrition and food can reverse chronic fatigue as you're healing your digestive system and your body's learning to utilize nutrients for energy. Autoimmune cannot be reversed at this time. So I'll be completely honest about that. Once our bodies have gone into an autoimmune response, that autoimmune response will be triggered frequently, changing our lifestyle around autoimmune so that we can manage and put our symptoms into remission, and then we don't have any antibodies, right? So the antibodies will come back if you are reversing back to old ways.
Love that. What is one misconception that people have about the autoimmune disorder or the conditions?
Yeah. So, one misconception that I oftentimes see is that people believe that autoimmune is rare and that it only affects old people, or that it doesn't affect very many people. It is honestly shocking to see how many people, especially women, actually, more women than men, um, are struck down with an autoimmune condition of sorts. So, for example, 80% of women who have hypothyroidism actually have Hashimoto's, and
Mm,
they don't even know it. So it is very, very common.
wow, I really need to dig more into my health now because I have hypothyroidism since eternity, I feel.
Yeah.
What's the most surprising thing you learned about your health since you started your journey?
That is really the influence and control over our quality of life that we have
Mm,
for ourselves. The most surprising thing I have learned about my health, because I grew up when something was not working right, or in middle-aged people, and my parents would always say, "Oh, well, they're just getting old," right? And so it's the notion that no, they're not just getting old. There's a lot of things that you have control over. So the empowerment of me knowing I have a certain control over my body's health, it was absolutely surprising and wonderful to learn. It gives us so much joy because we know that we can really support healthy living long term.
I agree. That's so true.
Yeah.
My last question for you: if you could create one health rule that everyone should follow, what would it be?
So honestly, it's surprising. It has nothing to do with nutrition. It has all to do with sleep.
I love.
It is, I will say that a lot of women are underslept these days. And yes, there's a lot you can do with nutrition. But if you don't sleep on a regular basis, your body is not utilizing the nutrients to an extent that it can to really amplify your healing journey. So sleep is number one health rule. Everybody should get a really solid sleep routine, evening routine in place for the body to be able to restore and repair overnight.
Wow, that was so well said, Cordula. Thank you so much for guiding us, giving your wisdom, and navigating us towards the right path. Your health journey is your own, and no one can advocate for you like you can.
Yeah.
Don't Wait for someone else to tell you what's wrong. Be the loudest voice in the room for your own self. Cordula, you've shown us that even in the darkest moments, there is light at the end of the tunnel. For everyone listening, if Cordula's story resonated with you, remember that the first step to healing begins by taking control of your own health and well being. You're never alone. There's always hope, there's always people to support. And thank you for joining us today. And make sure to follow Cordula for more insights and inspiration. Until next time, don't forget to share, follow, and subscribe to In the Making and keep striving for your own version of your own health. With that, see you next time.